Wushir, the OG Daffy. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Lord of Mysteries. So we'll be talking about that today. Before we get too deep into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. We are on our way to 20,000 subscribers. I would love to have you around. If you don't subscribe, I'm going to summon a demon to your house, so you don't want to do that. Also, if you'd like, you can enter the fan contest that Lord of Mysteries is hosting for a chance to win cash prizes. The link will be in the description down below. Now, Lord of Mysteries, I had heard some rumblings before the show actually came out, and it seemed like a trailer dropped, everybody was excited, and the anime just appeared like that. I say anime, it's donghua. But seemingly, this anime spawned out of nowhere, and it has a very dedicated and strong fan base, which is good. And clearly there is some quality that is spoken to just from how passionate the fans are for this product. So automatically I was in good standing with this anime. And when I actually loaded up and actually started watching the first episode, I was astounded. What the fuck is on my computer? Bro, I thought I got hacked. But I was absolutely dumbfounded by the visuals in this series. So before we talk about my likes and my dislikes or things that we have areas of improvement on, I want to briefly talk about the overall plot. We're going to be going through episode 1 all the way through episode 8, and at a later date when episode 9 airs, I would also be recording my personal review on that episode as well. So we're introduced to the power system in Lord of Mysteries, and there are 22 pathways. They all start from sequence 9, go up to sequence 1, and 1 basically is deity status, and that's essentially where you max out for that pathway. Now, as far as I know, I don't think that there are multiple pathways a person can go to. Like, I don't think you can have 7 different pathways and be sequence 1, because I feel like your body would just explode or something. I definitely, again, we're going into theory territory. Only season 1 is available out right now, but that's just my own personal interpretation. So the main character, Guiezao, I'm about to struggle with these names. It's in Mandarin. So our main character, Guiezao, wakes up in this foreign world that Lord of Mysteries takes place in. Now, his world is very similar to ours. He's a college student. They have technology, skyscrapers, and all that good stuff. But when he wakes up in the world, he wakes up in the dead body of Klein with a bullet wound in his head, slowly healing up, and he has no idea who he is or what's happening. All he sees is a gun on the table and something about the Antigonus notebook or some spell. Now, the spell that Klein or Guiezao was performing was a good luck ritual, and when he performed it in our world, it sucked him into here. Now, the notebook that he wakes up with explains that Klein and 2 others actually got a hold of this notebook called the Antigonus notebook, and this notebook caused all 3 people that used it to commit suicide. So already we're kind of in very abstract, weird territory. Now, I have spoken before to you guys on multiple occasions. I'm not a big fan of isekais. I just personally don't care for the genre. But when I loaded into this, it felt different. This doesn't feel like a RPG system to me, right? Like, obviously you have levels and things like that, but it does have a different feel to it. It doesn't feel samey. If there's one thing I can definitely say about the show, it does not feel like any other show or piece of media I've consumed. It's very different from everything else that I've encountered, and for positive and negative reasons, which we'll get into. So Klein attempts to use the ritual once again to actually send him back home, and he places food in 4 corners of the room and repeating phrases, and the good luck ritual this time actually summons a gray fog with 2 other people. Now, the 2 other people are just as confused as he is, but he actually understands that, well, they're just as confused as I am. Maybe I can play into this. And he postures himself as a deity or the fool. He's making all this up as he goes. And if there's one thing you can definitely say about Klein, is that he knows how to think on his feet, and he can take in information very quickly and adapt on the fly, which is cool. I like that in a protagonist, right? And strangely, the fog actually is manipulated by Klein's will. Why? I still have no idea, but they share private information, believing that, oh, well, a god would know this, so there's no point in me even hiding it. And so these 2 other individuals share information about the Beyonders and things of that nature. Now, the Beyonders are basically the sorcerers of this world. They all have supernatural abilities, all to varying degrees. Again, you have sequence 1 through 7, which is like just super, super crazy shit. And then you have sequence 9 and 8, which is kind of like your more basic things. Now, the Nighthawk organization, basically the sorcerer police come knocking on Klein's door and they understand that he actually survived. And the Captain Dunn actually ends up taking interest in Klein and taking him into the organization. And so our boy is officially a Beyonder. And now we got money. So now we move on to chapter 2, or episode 2 rather. So Klein ends up joining this organization, the Nighthawks, and we end up getting info on an old emperor who gives us some lore on potions. Now, potions are your lifeblood whenever it comes to being a Beyonder or a sorcerer in this world. I'm gonna say Beyonders and sorcerers it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Also, for some reason, this emperor looks like Dracula from Castlevania. I don't know. Now, Klein ends up choosing the Seer ability, again, like in an RPG, and Emperor Roselle allegedly said that knowledge is power, so why would you not choose the Seer ability? It can be used for tracking and things of that nature. And we actually see a really cool Powerpuff Girl Bruce scene where actually Old Man Neil cooks up the potion for him. And when he does this... Our boy Klein gets thrown into a 5-gum commercial, and old man Klein is like, "Oh, think of something that can ground you. That's only from something from your world, only that you can imagine." And Klein imagines a missile. he imagines a Black Ops 2 kill streak, which I mean, hey, cool, I guess. And also, apparently, attaining an attribute changes your physical appearance as well. So, tapping the glabella, or basically the kind of like the center between your eyebrows and your eyes, tapping between that actually helps Klein turn abilities on and off. One thing I do want to say is that the dub is absolutely saving my life right now. The dub for this show is fantastic, by the way. But... I was originally gonna hold this off for my positive and negatives, but I do want to get this out of the way. The show in its native language is in Mandarin, and the show is already dense enough as it is. So it gets very hard to understand what's going on sometimes, and the subtitles just start flying by. We'll talk about it more at the positive and negative section, but I kind of just want to get that out of the way. The dub is definitely the way to go for native English speakers. Even if you're a dub versus sub elitist, do the dub, please. Do the dub. It's going to help you out a lot. Please. Also, allegedly, Crunchyroll was using some supposedly incorrect subtitles or stuff that wasn't entirely accurate. Sometimes stuff gets lost in translation, and sometimes with just how dense languages are and how long they've been going around, certain words don't exactly mean the same thing in other languages. So it happens. But just for your own viewing experience, watch the dub. But yes, we have our first assignment now, and boy, oh boy, we getting some change, boy. So the first assignment Klein has is about a kidnapping about a rich man's son. And seers specialize in tracking, so, this lines up great, perfect! So throughout Klein's time as a seer, he has this amulet that's basically just a plot device that helps him maneuver throughout the world, helps him track, it helps him see things, rewind things. When I say rewind, seers have the ability to trace back previous events and rewind them, similar to Batman's detective vision from the Arkham games, or similarly to the brain dance in Cyberpunk 2077. They're really cool sequences whenever Klein goes back to investigate something and try to get more context as to what happened. So when we find out where this young boy was kidnapped, we end up running into some fucking Resident Evil zombies. And apparently they're actually feral Beyonders, or they got corrupted by some unknown power and their bodies couldn't handle it. And when I say Resident Evil zombies, I mean they literally merge into a fucking just... Yeah, them boys got hit with that idle transconfiguration. Now, his mentor, Leonard, I believe, has some sort of physical buff to his sorcery, because he absolutely punched the holy shit out of this one dude. Like, he hit him with the Android 17 Piccolo, just right in the diaphragm. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get a new chair. Y'all hear this? So a transparent feather actually just ends up resurrecting the thugs, so they actually are zombies. Now, the transparent feather, I don't know what deity this is. I think it's a deity that shows up to Captain Dunn at the end of episode 3 or 4, I don't remember. But I don't know if this is necessarily like a good deity or a bad one. Obviously I would think bad, but I think deities kind of move how they move. They don't really they just do things. I know I explained that like shit, but why show up to Captain Dunn, who's presumably a good guy, when you resurrect these thugs? I think they're just tapping into the power of these deities, really. I don't know. And Leonard actually ends up talking to his shadow a couple of times. Strangely enough, Leonard is not the only person in this show to talk to his shadow. I don't know. The show is very Lovecraftian in its nature and how it depicts some of the supernatural elements, which is cool. I like Lovecraftian stuff, Call of Cthulhu and things of that nature. By the way, I absolutely love the blend of 3D and 2D animation in the show, but it is them poor animators, man. They are working their butts off, and it shows. Interestingly enough, also, the seer ability is passive, and it can actually track something that Klein just has his mind on. So that's pretty cool. Moving on to episode 3. So unfortunately, Klein is unable to find the Antigonus notebook directly at this point. And so the Nighthawks use this creepy doll thing, this like SCP thing, who can take you over if you're too close to it for too long. And they do this little weird, like, arm motion jerk thing. And I thought they were just hazing him originally, but actually it's to let other people know, because when you stop doing that, they know to actually hit you or nudge you, so you're actually out of the doll's control. And, yeah, the notebook is with this boy, Roy Bieber, who, he eats it with his intestines. I don't mean, like, eat it, like, cut up with a book. I mean, he literally slices his belly open, and his intestines just... This show's nasty. This show's gross. If blood and viscera is not your thing, I highly recommend watching something else. But by the way, the Beyonders guns are long as hell. They got them Yosemite Sam shits. Them holes like 8 barrels of straight steel. You know what I'm talking about? So Leonard's domain actually isn't exclusive to him. His squad mates can tap in and use it, mainly the captain. I believe it's called a dream. And I'm actually a bit confused why Roy Bieber... I'm confused why he ate the notebook, but apparently he was seduced by the notebook? I don't know what that means. I think he just... Whatever he read in there literally took control of his mind. I think the notebook's like a living thing. I think that's the only reason why people, like, kill themselves whenever they look at the notebook. Because why would you... I think it just feeds off of death and misery, I guess. There's another deity that we encounter later on that actually feeds off death. I think the notebook itself is kind of like the Necronomicon from Evil Dead, right? Because it's weird. Why would it require him to slice his belly open and put it inside him and it transforms into a monster? It's weird. Something interesting also, by the way, is that the Beyonders will use poems to actually buff their sorcery. Now, I think it's almost all sorcery can be buffed by these poems specifically, but I'm not entirely sure. So the Nighthawk Squadron teams up and they take down Ray, and presumably we have the notebook acquired. And then before they can actually get their hands on the notebook, we have the clown showing up. And the clown actually... He's a problem. He actually gives them straight work and straight hands throughout their entire fight. I mean, bro literally hit the deals like mid-battle and actually tried to have that SCP puppet thing eat everybody. Now, the clown actually offers to give Klein some info on how to level up his specific pathways for the notebook, but I'm a bit confused. Why would you not just kill Klein, take the notebook, and just... He could have just lied. He could have said anything to him. So I don't know what would make Klein be inclined to trust anything he says. That's weird to me. But eventually, Klein actually gives the clown the slip and actually has the puppet take control of the clown momentarily, so Klein can actually get the kill shot on him. And before the clown dies fully, he starts saying hornacious. It sounds inappropriate. It sounds very inappropriate. Now, I'm not gonna hold y'all. I am a bit confused how Klein defeated the clown. It looks like he transferred the clown's strings on him, I think, but I don't know. The pacing. We'll get there. Also, the captain is just non-stop coughing like Arthur Morgan in Red Dead Redemption 2. He's an N95 mask or something, bro. Keep them germs to yourself. By the way, how do they get an exact number on what sequence someone is in a pathway? Like, the Nighthawk sorcery and the clown sorcery look fairly similar to me, but they were saying he was like a step above. But I don't know. If anything, the Nighthawk sorcery to me looked a bit more impressive visually, and the clown was just kind of slippery. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like a Jujutsu Kaisen thing where you can kind of just like make an educated guess just off of what they do because you've seen so much other stuff. I don't know. just because there's a 9, I feel like there's a lot more. It's not just like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thing. I feel like there's a lot of leeway where someone could fall like within the power system, right? Klein's regular professor, yeah, he has a demon in his shadow too. What the hell these people got going on in this world, man? What the fuck? Episode 4. We have a rogue cultist after Klein. Now, apparently this notebook that this guy used was used to resurrect the Shredder or something like that. I don't know. I'm about to call this rogue priest guy Father Poochie 2.0. I love Poochie, by the way. Best JoJo villain. Better than Dio. Better than Dio. By the way, I absolutely love all of the British accents within the show. It makes me want to call up Alon's and harass him. Oh, it's Tuesday, bruv. I gotta have my beans and toast by the big man with my fish and chips. You people eat baked beans and toast every morning. You're sick. You're sick. I'm sorry to all my British fans that watch me. I love you so much. It's not your food. Now, Klein is going full tilt with having the other 2 people in the fog believe that he is a deity. But the thing is that the young lady, Lady Justice, I feel like she's fine. She's drinking the Kool-Aid and she understands everything. The Hangman is the problem. With the Hangman, he is so like devout and he believes everything that he says. I feel like when he gets the inkling that something is not right with the Fool or Klein, he's going to be an issue. He's going to freak out on him and possibly try to kill him. Just because I feel like because there is such a heavy theme on like religious belief and faith, when you break this guy, what's he gonna have left, right? Like, I don't. By the way, in case you are wondering why I haven't talked about Klein's family, it's because the show doesn't really talk about his family that much. The show talks about Klein's sister, who she ends up having like a birthday party thing. That the priest guy ends up crashing, but Klein's parents aren't around, and it was just him, his brother, and his sister. Now his sister does get a fair amount of screen time throughout the entire show, but his brother, I'm convinced it's not a real person. We barely see his brother at all. I think he has like 7 lines throughout the show. I'm very confused why we don't see his brother. Excuse me. We see him like one time at the end of one of the end credit scenes for like a small little tea. Oh, I got my hat. Yay. But the siblings never feel like siblings through the show. It's so odd to me. Why do you have such a heavy relationship on these siblings, and why you feel the need to like blend in more and spend more time with Klein's family when we don't, as the audience, don't spend that much time with Klein's family? So as episode 4 ends up finishing, we have Klein doing a little bit of ghost busting, and Miss Justice at some point accidentally buffs Klein. I don't know how she did it, but good for her, I guess. I don't know. Congratulations. We have a little exorcism action, and we have these weird, like, 4 prongs on Klein's hand. I'm a bit confused what these are. I don't really know what they do. Yeah, the priest guy ends up being pretty terrible, and he ends up throwing his own arm off and trying to get an edge in the fight, and he ends up getting killed by his superior anyways. I don't know. But yeah, Officer Dunn, or Captain Dunn, ends up getting connected to this weird Elden Ring boss through these feathers. He just sees this deity in this weird, like, you know, at the end, it's literally an Elden Ring boss. Like, at the very end of the vanilla Elden Ring campaign where you fight the Elden Beast, instead of, like, all that, like, white shit around. Yeah, he ends up finding this, like, upside-down deity with the eye just... I'm making so many weird noises throughout this video. I'm so weird. Oh my god. So episode 5, we have a local hero named Treese who was revered as a hero. He saved a bunch of these people on a boat. Yay, he's cool. Actually, he killed everybody on board, and Treese is actually a serial killer. He kills multiple men on board the ship known as the Alfalfa and knowingly slept with their wives. So Klein and Neil go to an underground market to kind of reinforce some amulets for Klein's family and actually run into them there, and they see him being pursued by members of this church. Unfortunately, they end up losing him, but actually our boy Klein gets raised, and apparently Benson is the breadwinner of the Moretti family. I still don't know. I cannot tell you one thing about Benson. I have no idea what he sounds like. I barely know what he looks like. What does he do? I wish I could tell you. So apparently the Demon-S sect are using deaths to fuel the resurrection of a deity. Now again, that's my theory that I think that the Antigonus notebook is doing something very similar. And Leonard actually uses a substitution spell with his fingernail and hair to avoid getting killed in the ensuing battle between Treese, who actually is now a woman, and unfortunately Treese ends up getting away. But apparently all those in the Demon-S sect are turned into women, which is... I mean, hey. Is it gay, fellas? I don't know. I don't know. Fellas, if the homie was down bad, would y'all let them hit? Let me know, chat. This video is not getting monetized. Holy shit. Episode 6. So episode 6, we have Klein facing off with this knight, and we get a bit more background into Zeke's backstory. Now, Zeke actually apparently is thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years old, and we see he gets these visions of his past lives. We don't know how many he had exactly, but apparently this knight fight, who I love the design of this knight, by the way. This fight that he ends up having with this knight actually was Zeke's son. And actually, it was his old armor and his old sword, and somebody actually desecrated his corpse, and that's how his wraith began to appear and began to get all this destruction. So a bit more info on Zeke, and that's pretty cool. Episode 7. So Klein actually ends up stabilizing the seer potion, so we get some more clarity. He offers a letter to Mr. Z to expose the Aurora Order's ritual plans. We have the red chimney clue, which actually starts to kind of connect some of these other mysteries. Now, this does feel like some of the better pacing that the episodes have had so far. And then in episode 8, we have Klein using the clown sequence to actually craft charms. We have a tarot meeting, which expands actually our other factions. We have the Aurora, Demoness, and Moses Order. And then we actually have Old Man Neil's subplot, which is very sad. He actually has an old friend turn into a wild beyonder who, unfortunately, he has to put down. And yeah, probably the best emotional depth we've gotten in the series so far. A bit refreshing to actually have some other emotions that we feel throughout the show. So very good. Whew, this video is only supposed to be 15 minutes, and now it's like 30. Ooh. And then to briefly go over episode 9, Klein actually ascends to sequence 8, gaining the clown identity, and this grants him a bunch of different buffs, including enhanced agility and the power of precognition, which he uses before the party that he is at even begins. An individual by the name of Dally Simone actually confronts Klein, and they suggest that knowing the acting method is unnatural for someone at his level. So already paranoia is starting to set in, and people are kind of beginning to understand that Klein isn't normal. We had a bit of this with Zeke, but more individuals are starting to kind of notice that something's just off with him. And after drinking the clown potion, which is crafted with ingredients like goat horns from Hornacious Mountain, Klein enters a metaphysical vision and actually emerges with a physical change. His movements are lighter, his reflexes sharper, and he actually gains this foresight permanently. And then you have Old Man Neil. Now, Old Man Neil actually is still battling over the grief of his lost fiancée Celeste, and he attempts a forbidden ritual influenced by whispers from the hidden sage. He tries to resurrect Celeste by creating an immortal body and summoning her spirit, and the Nighthawks, Klein Dunn, and others visit a celebratory gathering. They find Old Neil's house overtaken by these just disgusting tumor-looking things. And unfortunately, Old Man Neil is turned into a wild beyonder, the most horrific and unstable state a beyonder can reach. And he talks about how he won't harm anyone and how he unfortunately misunderstood the Hermit Pathway's motto, do as you wish, but do no harm. And Captain Dunn actually makes the decision to shoot Old Man Neil and end him permanently, and because of this, we have Klein, Dunn, and the rest left with grief and shock over their renowned teacher. And one of the bigger things is the fact that even if Old Man Neil were to successfully resurrect his wife's body, this would just be a random evil spirit or deity in his wife's body. It still would not be her. It's very similar to what happened when in Fullmetal Alchemist, Ed and Alphonse tried to use transmutation, and unfortunately they didn't get the science wrong, and they ended up with just this disgusting body, but it wasn't actually their mother. Let's talk about the good. So the good in the Lord of the Mysteries, I definitely say has to be the visuals. The visuals are outstanding. I will say I wish the character designs themselves had a little bit more pizzazz and some more color, because some of the characters' faces kind of do look the very same-ish. Like, you know that old standard rule, like, you know, character design is good if you can tell who they are just strictly from their outline. That's just for, you know, I feel like some of that doesn't really apply here. I feel like some of the character designs, they look too sterilized. I would like to see some crazier stuff. Even the clown, like, I get it's supposed to be realistic, which is fine. I get that. I kind of would just like to see a bit more craziness, and I feel like just a little bit more color for me personally, but that's just me. But the visuals are absolutely outstanding. I love how everything is presented. The music, great, phenomenal score. Very, very, very good score within the show as well. I feel like the dub as well. The dub is fantastic. All the voice actors kill it within the dub voice acting. And the show knows how to leave you with suspense. And it knows how to leave you with questions. Which goes into my negatives. The pacing is the biggest issue in this show by a mile. Allegedly, the director himself said that he was displeased with the first 3 episodes pacing, and that episode 4 and on, the pacing gets better. But there were so many times within the show that I was lost. There were times where I had absolutely no idea what was going on, and I had to rewind, which is fine, but then you compound that with the fact that there is a whole chibi add-on at the end of some of these episodes that were not originally included in Crunchyroll, which to no fault of their own, I'm sure there's licensing and things like that that offer a explanation as to why those are originally in there. Now, some say it's supplementary and some say it's necessary. I'll leave that for you to decide, but you compound that with the fact that some of these transitions, they go so fast as well. Very similar to Attack on Titan, where it would give you some lore bits and it would be like 2 seconds on the screen and they go right away. So you have to pause and read them. I get pausing and rewinding and understanding all of that, but there are so many times where it felt like if I took my eyes off the screen for 20 seconds, I come back and I have no idea what's going on. The pacing was so fast and it was very hard to keep up as a viewer. If I had to say anything about the show, is that it is challenging. Now, for some, they enjoy that. It's not going to be an entertaining view all the time. Sometimes you're going to have to sit there and you have to like actually ponder. I had to actually write notes actively throughout my entire time. As long as some of these One Piece arcs are, I don't even make notes all the time. Sometimes I can remember, but every 10 to like 2 minutes, I had to write notes and keep up with what was going on in my head. Again, this is compounded by the fact that Mandarin already is a fast language, and so the subtitles are coming at you way faster. I'm not gonna say I'm fluent in Japanese or anything like that, but Japanese is easier on my ears because I've been listening to it like, what, 20 years, 15 years in my lifetime, reading subtitles and things like that. In Mandarin, even watching 2B Hero X, it's a totally different experience. So again, watching the dub, that helps, but just the show is dense. It is meaty. There is a lot to this show, which is a good thing. I just feel like if we made these episodes a little longer, I feel like we could definitely get some more casual viewers on. Another big thing is character interactions. I definitely feel like that old man Neil is the best character in the show besides Klein. I feel like him and his interactions with the main character definitely fuel the emotional responses that you typically want to hit with an audience. But when it comes to some of these other characters, they don't necessarily hit for me as much as I would want them to. Sometimes when Klein interacts with Captain Dunn or even other members, like Leonard, obviously Leonard's cool. I like Leonard. He's cool. He's a flirt, right? He's goofy. He's weird. But everybody else, we need more casual moments. We need more casual slice of life moments that give us a bit more insight into the personalities of the other castmates. Because the show, because it's so fast paced, it's hard to care about other members of the cast. And I want it to be a strength of the show. But when we go into season 2 of Lord of the Mysteries, that's definitely one of the biggest things that I hope the show does eventually tackle, is getting these character beats and the moments right. That's my biggest thing, personally. Overall, this show is definitely worth a watch. If you would like to challenge yourself and look at a totally different viewing experience, I highly would recommend that. And if this isn't, it can be a bit of acquired taste. I will say this is definitely not something that I've ever read or watched personally. So going into this with fresh ideas and a fresh mind, I was like, whoa! Sometimes I was getting information overload, but if you want to take your time and slow it down for yourself, make it more digestible, I think this will be very entertaining for you. But yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on the Lord of the Mysteries anime. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. Do you guys enjoy it? Do you think that there are some more areas of improvement? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm very curious. It's me, boy Daffy, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. Please make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Y'all make sure to take care of yourselves, guys, and have a damn good one. Peace.